My name's Beth. I'm co-director of Lead UK, and I specifically do fundraising and volunteering. Train up volunteers, fundraise money. Yeah. Theology, chose theology because I did RE at A-level, and it wasn't necessarily my best subject, but it was the one I enjoyed the most, the one I had the most interest in, and I thought, if I'm doing 4 years of this, I definitely need to love it and care about it a lot and want to know more. I was better at like English, got better grades and stuff on that, but couldn't really hack another poem. So did theology and religious studies instead, but specifically Edinburgh. I came for an open day here, and I did an open day for here and for Glasgow in like the same weekend. And I loved New College, and I know lots of people be like, oh, I come and I fell in love with New College. No one really explains what that means. And I loved New College, lovely building, but what really struck me was the people. Like, I came in the room and instantly people weren't like, talking to my mum or like things like that. They were like, oh hi, how are you, and what do you want to do, and what else have you seen today? It wasn't like, oh yeah, you must be doing theology, but it was just actual interest in me and where I'd come from and how my exams and things were going. And you can remember I ended up having a conversation with someone did end up teaching me that I had my end of school prom the next day, and we had a weird conversation about fake tan. But like that was really like, oh goodness, this is somewhere I feel like will welcome me. And I think that's continued on to my time of like, even when I found the subject hard or like dissertation time, it's like, I can't do this. There was always a lecturer or someone being like, no, we can sit down and work this out together. And that was my real choice for Edinburgh, the support that New College brings. I think I didn't come in with huge expectations. I do think in general, I found university a lot harder than I thought I was going to. I took a year out. I was a youth worker back home in Northern Ireland before I came to university. And I'm really glad I did that because it gave me some time to grow up. I think if I went immediately after school and became overwhelmed with deadlines and stuff, I might have more panicked and shut down and went, oh goodness, I can't do this, university isn't for me. But I was a bit more grown up and was like, no, I can sort this. But I find it a lot harder than I thought of just the style of essay. But I think by the time I hit honours years, I was like, oh yeah, I know what I'm doing now. But expectation-wise of like my subject, it was far broader than I ever thought. I thought it was going to be a lot more maybe like, some extra stuff, but mostly like Bible or specific religions, like, oh, this year we're looking at X religion, next year looking at that religion. But when I saw from like open days and looking at the course options, I was like, oh, there's so many things I can do, and so many things I was like, I don't even know that would be covered by theology. I thought like, oh, that's maybe a bit more under a different school's umbrella, but I was like, oh no, I can do theology and all these other things. I'm also interested in like a bit of philosophy, a bit of anthropology here and there, and like that was much more my style, because I was like, oh, I don't want to be in one box when you start doing a degree like mine in theology. You don't normally have like a certain career in mind because it's not very specific, and then the courses from there matched perfectly. I just followed what interested me most, and that, the essays were hard, made it worth it because I really cared about what I was writing about. Well, I have specific lectures that come to mind, but I think the huge thing will probably be the people I met here, the friends I made. They kept me very grounded, and it was very good in those moments where things were tough to have someone else turn to and be like, yes, I don't know what to do either, let's work on it together. I met really lovely people here who, it was very stereotypical like university thing to say of like, oh, people that will be friends for life, but I really do believe that some of the people I met here, I didn't have like the stereotypical like giant group of friends sitting on grass that you see in the university brochure, but the four of us together like really became a wee family. And when things were rough, like particularly in fourth year, we're like, everything's stressful and I don't know how I'm gonna get it all done, we were there for each other. I think then influencing like staff members wise, like the divinity support team, they were huge for me in my last 2 years. I really felt like after a lecture, if I was starting to feel overwhelmed, I could go and knock and there would someone be there who would have time for me, even if it wasn't that moment. They'd be like, we'll make time for you, we're going to catch up with you, come back in an hour, or you're free tomorrow morning and we'll sort this out, we'll talk about it. That was a huge influence on me, that even though degrees were tough, that there was people there for me. Lectures, I had some really amazing lectures, and I think a time that really stood out was during COVID. So my second year was basically all online, and half my first year was cut short, and then by third year we were all back in normal running, which was something different compared to other schools. Theology got us all back in whatever way they could as soon as possible, which helped me a lot. But in that second year where I was doing my degree from like a bedroom, a very cold flat, the amount of effort lecturers put in to making those interesting, like I did religion, violence and peace building. The lecturer that was taking that was like, oh, we were talking about the conflict in Israel and Palestine, and he took us on a walking tour of Jerusalem because he'd been many times, he used to work there, through Google Maps, like clicked through, and then when he'd be like, oh, we've appeared at this place, it would then, he switched to slides, which was photos of when he'd worked there. And I was like, that is so much effort put in to make this interesting because we're all staring at a computer. And that really stood out for me. So I think my friends who became a great family really influenced me. Lecturers who put in extra time to making things good, and divinity support being there for me when I felt like I was gonna explode. Lots of things. I think, like I sort of said, the way I needed that time between going to school and going to university, I definitely needed the period of university to learn a lot of skills, just like time management, having to maybe look into subjects like I find hard to research or write an essay about, but also like working with lots of different people, like that was all really useful. But I think for the job I do now, I have to write a lot of applications for trusts and grants, and the essay writing really comes in, and being able to make a point like concisely and get to the point and make almost like the way in an essay you make a compelling argument. Now when I'm applying for trusts, I have to make a compelling argument about why funding should go to my charity or to this project, and I would have not known how to do that without university. It would have been way too long-winded an essay that I think many a trust or grant would be like, oh goodness, no, we don't have the time to read all 4 pages. So that's been a big win from university that I'm so thankful I have now, and the ability to edit like that and see what's not needed, that's really useful. But also presenting, I do, and the relationships of working with lots of different people at uni and all the different people you meet in class, and sometimes you'll have to get together and make a presentation together and you've never talked before because your year's so big and stuff like that. That was really useful. Because now I have to meet up with lots of different people, maybe work on something together, or build a relationship with someone I don't know for fundraising or for training a new volunteer with my charity. I know I have to do those things all the time, and I'm glad that I wasn't doing that for the first time on a more professional place. I got the chance to figure out what works and what doesn't in the comfort and the support of university. So I work for a charity called Lead UK. I really love it. And the vision of Lead UK is to raise up and release leadership in young people throughout the UK. So what we do is we go into different schools and we do leadership training. That comes in lots of different shapes and sizes. Sometimes it's a big 4-week course. We follow a year group of kids through. Sometimes it's just a morning, but we teach them like how to be a leader, what their style of leadership is, how to make failure a friend, how to transform what is their world or their context right now with their leadership. We do a lot of cool things. So I really love it, and I love working with the young people. That's what I do. How did I get the job? So I was graduated in July 2023, and I was working as a receptionist in a GP, and then I did volunteering throughout my time at uni, which was really useful. It kept me doing the youth work I love, but also meeting new and interesting people who also did youth work, and I mainly volunteered at Central Hall in Tollcross. And then when one of the guys, a parent of one of the kids I looked after there every Friday night, he mentioned that there was a job coming up at this charity he'd founded, and so he just sent me the job advert. So I applied, went for it, and had quite a long interview, and I had to do a presentation and everything, but it went well and I'm here now. And so I share my role with another guy called Connor, and we run Lead together. So that's how I got it, but I think that shows like that was really important for me to keep doing the things I loved alongside uni and to make time for it. Like, even though at times it felt like there was no space to do extra volunteering or whatever, that found out actually was like helped me build in a break or like a bit of back to what I'd really loved in my gap year. So that was really important and quite key for me getting the job. But the university degree gave me all the skills I need to be able to do the job. So both became very important and worked well together. Ooh, loads of things, but I think the people, the young people particularly, I have a real passion for young people. Really believe that our future's in their hands and we need to invest in them, but I also think they're great and would love to help them become as great as they can and want to be. So that is a huge part of it. I love watching young people be transformed, become more confident, start off doing our lead course thinking like, this is not for me, I'm not the person to get up in front of a group of people, and by the end of it have so much more confidence themselves, feel like they can do that. Sometimes transformation is as big as that. Sometimes it's in small ways where now they even just consider themselves as a leader when before they're like, that's nothing to do with me. So that's really cool to see that transformation. But I really love the people I get to meet through it as well. Even talking to different people while I do fundraising or while I meet new volunteers or contact different youth organisations and see if they want to be involved with us. I get to meet so many other people doing incredible things from different charities and different youth work organisations and see how they're impacting their local community. Building community is a really important thing to me, and I think I love that I get to do that in my job, even if it's between my charity and a trust or between this group of volunteers and their local school, that we get to be that bridge. So I really love that. I think I struggle to give advice because I feel like there's so many, when it comes to charity work, there's so many different avenues and there's so many different things. I think for me, I've been really lucky on just having lots of different people about who have maybe seen or heard of me from doing other, like I said, the volunteering I did throughout my time at uni has sort of got word out that like, oh, if you need someone, maybe have you considered Beth, she volunteers with this group. So part of it was that. But I think getting into charity work in general, I think having confidence in yourself and your abilities and knowing how to, where that can be packaged into. So I know, like for me, I really care about young people. I can write a very decent essay and I don't mind getting up in front of a large group of people and making a fool of myself sometimes. And it's like, oh, how can that fit in? And that for me has been youth work and now youth work charity work. But I think for charity work in general, is about relationships. I think so much of charity work, you sort of, sometimes people forget that that's where so much of it is building relationships with all the different people who are part of a charity. There's a cause that you're trying to, normally an issue you're trying to fix or trying to help, but it is the relationships that drives that cause and makes that cause like hopefully get fulfilled. This is the dream of charities. So I think knowing where your skills and talents are and how to market them really best, but relationships will get you so far. For me, it was the relationships I built through volunteering at uni, but knowing how to build good relationships, and hopefully then the right people will come your way. I don't know, advice, I could just tell you so many things I really loved, but advice, I think if you're maybe feeling on the like bit not sure, like theology, religious studies doesn't really sound maybe like, for me that sounds a lot of like, oh, religion. It's so much more than that. I did so much of peace building work, or looking at the peace building in the arts, or looking at those sort of different things. It wasn't all biblical texts, that wasn't really my thing. There was so much range, so I think don't have too many preconceptions about, no, I couldn't do that because that's not quite my thing. Look at it a bit further, because actually it can be all your favourite things in one degree and you didn't know. My other advice would be, for New College specifically, is like, oh, get involved with it. I feel like I look back and I'm like, oh, I wish like I'd worried a bit less about like the deadlines were important, but New College is very good for providing nice breaks of like, oh, there'll be a Christmas dinner or something for Burns night or the New College ball. Like, it was so good at building in that time to be like, no, actually take some time out and do something nice. It doesn't all have to be work. And I feel like, I should have paid attention to some of those things or got more involved in that, because a lot of those nights where I was like, oh no, I can't go to that thing, I've got to do this, I instead stayed in and panicked about the thing rather than having less time. So I feel like I wish I maybe did that a bit more, of investing more in like how much New College has to offer, not just the lectures and the support and the tutorial time in the library. There's more things New College has to offer than just that. It is a community. And I think I would wish I'd got more involved in it when I was here. But I try my best now. I come back.